Okay, your second lesson for fractions this week is on equivalent fractions. So your last lesson we looked at comparing fractions that have the same denominator. Now we're going to be looking at fractions that are equivalent or equal when they have different denominators. So to start, I have our fraction bars and fraction strips right here to give us a visual representation of fractions that are equal that have different denominators. So I have a half here and 1/2 here. If I go down and see what also equals 1/2, I can stop here at my quarters and I can see that 2 quarters is equal to 1/2. So 1/2 is equal to 2 quarters. And then if I keep going down here, I can see that 1, 2, 3/6 is also equal to 1/2. So 1/2 is equal to 3/6. And then I can keep going down and I can see that 1/8, 1, 2, 3, 4/8 is also equal to 1/2. Now, you guys are going to learn how to make equivalent fractions without using a fraction strip or fraction bars like this. But before we do that, we need to talk about how you guys are able to do that. So you can only make equivalent fractions by multiplying or dividing. Those are the only way. So having your multiplication facts memorized, guys, is so important because now we're going to be using multiplication and division in our fractions unit. So whatever you do to the numerator, the top number in your fraction, you have to do the same thing to your denominator, the bottom number in your fraction. So if we come back here to our fraction strips, I have circled 1/2 and 2 quarters to show that they are equal. Now, I'm going to look at my numerator up here. What did I multiply my numerator, my 1 by, in order to get to 2? 1 times what equals 2? Well, we all have our facts memorized, and we all know that 1 times 2 equals 2. Now, if we go back here, whatever we do to the numerator, the top number, we have to do to the bottom number. So we multiplied our numerator by 2, that means we have to multiply our denominator by 2 as well. And we know that 2 times 2 is 4. So that is how 1/2 is equal to 2/4. The next one we're going to look at is 2/3, right here. So 2/3 is equal to 4/6. So if we go down here, 2/3 and 4/6 are equal. So we're going to look at my numerator here. How did I get from 2 to 4? What did I have to multiply this numerator by in order to get to this numerator? Well, we all know that 2 times 2 is 4. And remember, whatever we do to the numerator, we have to do to the denominator. So if we multiply the numerator by 2, we have to multiply the denominator by 2. So that is how 2/3 is equal to 4/6. Okay, the next one we're going to do is we're going to be comparing 6/10 to 3/5. But this time, we're going to use division to get there. We're going to go backwards, okay? So let's start with the numerator. How did I get from 6 to 3? What did I have to divide 6 by? Well, if I divide 6 by 2, I get to 3. Now remember, whatever we do to the numerator, we have to do the denominator. So we all know that 10 divided by 2 is 5. So that is how 6/10 is equal to 3/5. Now this one here, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to go from our bigger numbers to our smaller numbers. So we're going to be comparing 4/10, so down here, with 2/5 right here, okay? So let's think, 2 to 4, how did I get there? What did I divide by? We all know that 4 divided by 2 is 2, and whatever we do to the top number, we have to do to the bottom number, okay? So 10 divided by 2 is 5. So we had to divide both the top and bottom by 2 in order to get our equivalent fraction. Now, I want you guys to try at home. So this time, we don't have our fraction bars. We're just going to rely on multiplication and division to get our equivalent fractions. So on your whiteboards at home, I want you to write down 3/4 is equal to what over 8? 4/6 is equal to what over 3? 6/12 is equal to what over 6? And 1/3 is equal to what over 6? Okay, and then I need you to figure out, what did I have to multiply or divide this first denominator by in order to get to this denominator here? So I want you to pause the video and I want you to try these on your own and then push play again and we'll see if you guys got the right answer. Okay, here we go. So we're comparing 3/4 to something over 8. So we don't have our top number here, we only have our denominator. So I'm gonna look 4 to 8. So we're getting bigger, so that means we're gonna be multiplying. So 4 times what equals 8? I know my facts, I have them memorized, so I know right away 4 times 2 is 8. And if you don't have your facts memorized, then you can just skip count. 4, 8, so that's 2. Remember, whatever we do to the bottom number, we have to do to the top number. So 4 times 2 is 8, 3 times 2 is 6. So 3/4 is equal to 6/8. You can give yourself a check mark if you got that one right. If not, make your corrections. The next one, we have 4/6 is equal to what over 3? So we're going from a big number to a smaller number. That means we're going to be dividing in order to make this equivalent fraction. So 6 divided by what is 3? We all know that 6 divided by 2 is 3. So whatever we do to the top or the bottom number, we have to do to the top number. So 4 divided by 2 is 2. So 4/6 is equal to 2/3. Give yourself a check mark if you got that one right, and if you didn't, just make your corrections. The next one, we have 6/12 is equal to what over 6? Okay, so we're going from a bigger number to a smaller number. That means that we are dividing, okay? And I know right away that 12 divided by 2 is 6. And whatever I do to this number, I have to do to my numerator. And 6 divided by 2 is 3. So 6/12 is equal to 3/6. We could even simplify that more into 1/2, but we're not going to do that right now. Give yourself a check mark if you got that one correct, and if you didn't, make your corrections. And the last one we're going to be doing is 1/3 is equal to what over 6? We're going from 3 to 6, so that means we're multiplying. And I know that 3 times 2 equals 6, and then I have to multiply the top by 2 as well. And 1 times 2 is 2. So 1/3 is equal to 2/6. Give yourself a check mark. Okay, and that's where we're going to finish our lesson for today. So you're going to go back into your Chillin' with Chanka Singh Week 2 document, and you're going to go to the practice worksheets for making equivalent fractions.